Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating corner of ancient history. We're looking to uncover a figure who, well, truly embodies relentless perseverance and maybe a surprising path to wisdom.
Hmm.
We're talking about Cleanthes, the second head of the Stoic school. Now, he's probably not the name that immediately springs to mind when you think of Stoicism, but maybe he should be.
Yeah, definitely one of the lesser known giants.
Right. So our mission today is to take these excerpts from Ryan Holiday's Lives of Stoics and really try to understand this remarkable individual. I mean, someone who started with absolutely nothing and rose to become this philosophical giant.
Quite the picture.
Yeah. Imagine a former boxer arriving in Athens, like dead broke, who then dedicates his entire life to philosophy in this, well, really unique and powerful way.
It's quite the backstory, isn't it? Cleanthes came from Assos, which is now northwestern Turkey. It was actually a region with a growing scholarly tradition. Aristotle had his first school near there, remember?
Uh-huh.
But yeah, unlike Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, who came from a wealthy background, Cleanthes really did start with nothing. Well, nothing but that intellectual hunger, perhaps.
Right.
And what's really striking about his path to philosophy, I think, is that it wasn't triggered by some, sudden crisis or disaster. It was more of a slow, incredibly determined grind. Just this unmistakable earnestness about him.
What a grind it was. So he arrives in Athens, as you said, truly dead broke. Just his reputation as a boxer. How on earth did he manage to survive, let alone pursue studies in a city like Athens?
Well, he basically took on the humblest odd jobs he could find to make ends meet. The most famous one was carrying water, for the city's gardens, which all needed manual watering back then.
Right, must have been hard work.
Oh, absolutely. He was seen doing it so often, apparently, lugging these heavy jugs often at night, that he earned the nickname Water Boy, or even Phreantles, which is a clever little pun on his name, meaning one who draws from the well.
Huh. Friantles. I like that.
Mm.
But it wasn't long before this unusual lifestyle, a philosopher doing manual labor actually got him into a bit of trouble, didn't it? Led to a rather public confrontation.
It did, yeah. At one point, some citizens, maybe a bit suspicious, saw this strong guy studying philosophy and wondered how he was actually paying for it. They thought maybe he wasn't working enough or maybe doing something dodgy.
So they dragged him into court.
Pretty much hauled him into court, but Cleanthes, well, he was ready. He just called on a gardener he drew water for and a woman whose grain he used to crush to testify for him.
And what happened?
He was acquitted, of course, but then, remarkably, the city elders actually awarded him 100 drachmas. That was a significant sum back then. It was like the city saying, you know what? We could use more people like this.
Wow. That incident alone, it really speaks volumes about his character, doesn't it? It wasn't just about survival for him, was it?
Yeah.
How did this kind of really hard work fit with his philosophical side?
Exactly. His work ethic wasn't just, practical. It was deeply philosophical. He was showing that philosophy, much like life itself, actually demands diligent effort. It's not about just thinking lofty thoughts. It's about consistent, hands-on application.
Right.
And this period also kind of highlights the huge influence philosophy had in Athens then. I mean, these thinkers were like public figures, almost like celebrities today. Their lives were watched.
Like memes in our time, as Holiday puts it.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yet Cleanthes, even when he got this public attention, he actively resisted any temptations of status or wealth.
That's just a remarkable level of dedication. I mean, even as his philosophical reputation started to grow, he kept doing his manual labor, studying all day, working even harder at night. And he even turned down some pretty generous financial gifts, didn't he?
He did. From King Antigonus II, Gonatas of Macedon, no less. The king apparently wanted him to retire from the hard labor, just focus on studying.
And what did Cleanthes say?
His response just perfectly sums him up. He basically said, is drawing water all I do? What? Don't I dig? Don't I water the garden? Or do any other labor for the love of philosophy? For him, you see, the physical work and the philosophy weren't opposites. They actually enabled each other.
There's an ancient Greek term for this kind of attitude, isn't there? Something that captures that dedication.
Yes, exactly. It's philoponia. Literally, it means a love of work. But it signifies something deeper, like a marrow-deep dedication to honest labor. Not just for the money, but for self-improvement, for building character.
So work itself had value.
Precisely. It wasn't about the job title, but the dedication, the excellence you brought to it. It actually reminds me a bit of that character Lee in Steinbeck's East of Eden.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, Lee, despite being brilliant and philosophical, chooses to be a servant. He sees it as like the perfect job for a philosopher. It's quiet, it's relatively easy, gives you time to observe people, time to think, and it offers endless chances for excellence, even in humble tasks. Mastery.
So this really challenges our modern idea that some jobs are somehow beneath us, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Cleanthes' life forces you to consider that maybe anything you do well is noble, no matter how humble it seems. And perhaps it's even more admirable if you deliberately give up status to pursue what you really love.
Hmm.
He had this belief, recorded by Arius Didymus, that all human beings have from nature initial impulses for virtue, like being a half-finished poem, basically. Worthless while half done, but worthy once completed. His actions were all about that constant striving for completion.
And he really dedicated himself to that completion. I mean, he became Zeno's student and stayed with him for, what, 19 years?
19 years, it's astonishing. Think about that, nearly 2 decades. If he stayed until Zeno died, he might have been close to 50 when he even started his formal studies.
Incredible commitment.
It really is. The philosopher Kierkegaard later made this distinction between a genius or a prophet, the one who brings the new insight, and the apostle who communicates it, spreads the message.
So Zeno was the prophet.
Right, Zeno was the prophet, the innovator, and Cleanthes, he was truly the apostle of Stoicism. He was like the ideal student, always listening, asking good questions, diligently doing the work, never put off by difficulty. He just soaked it all up. Zeno's physics, ethics, logic, even Zeno's favorite story about Heracles choosing virtue over pleasure.
He even got some, let's say, affectionate nicknames from the other students because of his approach, didn't he? Something about being methodical.
He did. Because he was older, maybe, and had this very deliberate workman-like style, some other students apparently made fun of him, called him a slow learner, or even the donkey.
Ouch. How did he take that?
Oh, Cleanthes, with his typical wit, apparently just replied that being called an ass didn't bother him because, well, like a donkey, he was strong enough to carry the intellectual load Zeno put on him.
Huh? Good comeback.
Zeno himself, though, saw it differently. He used a much kinder analogy. He said Cleanthes was like a hard waxen tablet, the kind they wrote on, that, being difficult to write upon, nevertheless, retains well what's recorded on it. So slow to learn, but learn deeply.
Exactly. And this dedication, this discipline, it extended to his personal life, too. He was famously frugal, hated debt, hated luxury. Plutarch apparently marveled at it. There's that story, probably exaggerated, about him recording Zeno's lectures on oyster shells and ox shoulder blades just to save money on papyrus.
Wow. Even if it's exaggerated, it paints a picture.
It does. And then there's that other famous anecdote, his cloak getting blown open in the wind, revealing he didn't even have a shirt on underneath. And the crowd apparently burst into spontaneous applause, just for his clear indifference to discomfort, pure Stoic image.
That level of resilience is just wow. His commitment to virtue was so deep it even impressed Spartans, right? From a
Wow.
culture famous for its discipline. I read a young Spartan asked him if pain was something to avoid. What did Cleanthes say? Apparently, that question was like music to his ears. He responded by quoting Homer's Odyssey. "You are of good blood, dear child, because of the kind of words you say." For Cleanthes, you see, suffering, if it was in pursuit of virtue, wasn't an evil. It was actually a good thing. He actively embraced hardship.
So he was really living those 4 key Stoic virtues Zeno taught.
Absolutely. Courage or fortitude. Justice, moderation or temperance, and wisdom. He was striving for all of them. It's no surprise people started seeing him as a kind of new Heracles.
And this wasn't just about physical toughness. He faced public criticism too, didn't he? How did he handle something like that? I remember reading about an incident in a theater.
Oh, right, yes. A playwright named Sisythius actually attacked him directly from the stage, making fun of people driven by Cleanthes' folly like dumb herds or something like that.
And Cleanthes?
Just sat there completely stone-faced through the whole thing. The audience was apparently so amazed by his calm self-control that they applauded him and actually drove the playwright off the stage.
Incredible. And did he hold a grudge?
Not at all. When Sisythius apparently apologized later, Cleanthes just accepted it readily, said, much greater figures had suffered worse abuse, and it would be crazy for him to get upset over such a small thing.
So self-awareness.
Deep self-awareness. And it extended to his own faults, too. He was known to sort of examine his own shortcomings out loud, sometimes scolding himself, saying things like, "An old man with gray hair and no wits."
Self-on himself.
Strict, definitely, but not abusive. There's another story where he saw a man talking to himself and advised him, "You aren't talking to a bad man." So it shows that self-assessment should be rigorous, but also, ultimately, kind.
It's clear he mastered self-discipline and that inner peace, but he also had this less-known sharp wit, didn't he? There's that great story about him talking to a young man who just wasn't getting his point.
Yes. Cleanthes asks the young guy, do you see? And the kid says, yeah, I see. So Cleanthes just quips back, why then don't I see that you see? It's brilliant.
Huh. And he had a great exchange with Arcesilaus, too, a critic of Stoicism.
Right. Cleanthes defended him slightly, saying Arcesilaus appeared to live a dutiful life. Arcesilaus heard about this and apparently retorted, kind of skeptically, I'm not easily won by flattery.
And Cleanthes come back.
Pure gold. He replied, yes, but my flattery consists in alleging that your theory is incompatible with your practice. Basically calling out his hypocrisy with wit.
So what do these moments tell us about the Stoic approach? Using humor.
Well, I think these anecdotes show how Stoics like Cleanthes used good humor, not just to avoid complaining or blaming, which is very Stoic, but also to, cleverly expose inconsistencies, to shine a light on how our actions need to align with our words.
Gentle but firm encouragement for integrity.
Exactly. And he certainly valued listening over talking. He quoted a lecturer saying, silence, silence, light be thy step, and pointed out we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. He also famously criticized Aristotle's followers, Peripatetics.
What did he say about them?
He compared them to a lyre. The instrument, said they produced beautiful sounds but couldn't actually hear for themselves, suggesting, I think, a disconnect between their sophisticated theories and maybe their actual lived experience or understanding.
It's such a tragedy of history, then, that so many of Cleanthes' own writings are lost. He supposedly wrote over 50 books, many in multiple volumes. What kind of things did he write about, based on the titles we know?
It's an immense loss, absolutely. Diogenes Laertius lists dozens of titles. They cover this huge range from really theoretical stuff like On Time or on Zeno's natural philosophy, all the way to incredibly practical things like on marriage, on gratitude, on friendship, on pleasure.
Wow, very practical.
Very, and even a treatise on a pretty radical idea for the time, on the thesis that virtue is the same in a man and a woman. What's really striking is that roughly half of his known works seem to deal specifically with ethics, how we should actually act in the world, shows where his focus really lay.
Despite most of his prose being gone, we are lucky that many of his surviving pieces are these incredibly powerful poetical fragments. What do they tell us about his philosophy and how he wanted to share it?
Oh, these fragments give us such a profound glimpse. He wrote lines like, fate guides the man who's willing, drags the unwilling. So powerful.
Yeah.
And another one, saved by Epictetus, goes, lead on God and destiny. To that goal fixed for me long ago, I will follow and not stumble. Even if my will is weak, I will soldier on. Just amazing resolve.
Beautiful. Why poetry, do you think?
Well, he seemed to believe that the very constraints of poetry, the fettering rules, as Holiday calls them, actually helped him reach people more deeply, more movingly. He used the analogy of a trinket, how constricting the breath focuses it into this brilliant, clear sound.
So obstacles create opportunity, a very Stoic idea.
Exactly. That limitations, if you respond correctly, can actually create beauty and excellence.
And didn't he manage to capture his whole worldview, his definition of good, in one short poem?
He did. It's this comprehensive, just beautiful definition, almost like a self-portrait, really. He defines the good as that which is regular, just holy, pious, self-governing, useful, fair, fitting, grave, independent, always beneficial.
Wow, keep going.
That feels no fear or grief, profitable, painless, helpful, pleasant, safe, friendly, held in esteem, agreeing with itself, honorable, humble, careful, meek, zealous, perennial, blameless, ever-during.
Just incredible. And what's remarkable is that these weren't just words on a page for him, were they? They were words he actually lived by. Every single one.
Absolutely. A perfect self-portrait, like you said. And he lived an incredibly long life, too. Reached exactly 100 years old, they say. Probably the oldest of all the major Stoics.
Amazing. So how did his life, so defined by this philosophy, finally end?
Well, in his final days, he apparently had some inflamed gums. His doctors told him to fast for a couple of days. The treatment actually worked. His gums got better. But that period of fasting seems to have given him this profound realization, maybe, that it was simply his time. When the doctor said, okay, you can eat again now, he just calmly replied that he'd gone too far down the road to turn back.
So he just kept fasting.
He did. Died peacefully a few days later, just fasting into the world beyond. Diogenes Laertius, the biographer, wrote what might be the perfect eulogy for him.
What was it?
He wrote, I praise Cleanthes, but praise Hades more, who could not bear to see him grown so old, so gave him rest among the dead, who'd drawn such a load of water while alive, acknowledging that long life of labor and virtue.
Wow. What an extraordinary figure Cleanthes was.
Hmm.
I mean, transforming humble labor and just sheer dedication into this path for profound wisdom, lasting influence. He really set an example for all time. As you reflect on his life, what does this deep dive really mean for you, the listener? It's such a powerful reminder that our daily choices, our efforts, even our most humble jobs, can be filled with meaning and purpose if we just approach them with intention and, well, like he showed us, a deep love of work.
Yeah, Cleanthes' life really makes you think, doesn't it? How often do we separate our work from our values, our daily actions from our highest goals? He showed us they can be, maybe should be, the same thing. So perhaps the question for you is, how might embracing your own love of work, your own Philoponia, reveal a deeper path to virtue and purpose in your own life?